everybody, welcome back to another edition of West Coast Geeks. I am OC Steve, and to my left over here, my other fusion pal from NorCal is DJ Ruben. You can see his wannabe Decepticon setup here. He's ready to roll. He's ready to show on the ones and twos. How are you doing, Ruben? How the hell are you?
Doing good, man. How's Thanksgiving?
It was good, man. A little under the weather, but obviously I got my talking voice back, so we took a little break for the week so we could go jam our gullets with some turkey and wear our comfy parachute pants. So I think we're ready back for this edition.
All right, man. Me too, man.
So obviously we've had a little bit go on in the last week. We had a multitude of trailers, and some of them were great. Some of them are like, why are they making this movie? Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. That's as much as we're going to talk about it. For me, it ended with The Last Crusade. That's just where it ended. I'm not going to open this as a discussion. I'm not going down a rabbit hole of haterade. I'm just saying it was a nice bookend ending. Like, you had everything in The Last Crusade that you wanted. You had him going off literally into the sunset. You couldn't have made a better ending. But hey, you know what? This is what happens with franchises. They throw money at it for nostalgia's sake. And sometimes it works. And sometimes it's a miss. And you get the Crystal Skull. So that's as much as I'm going to address about that. But we have two specifically that we both were communicating throughout the course of the week via text messages that we want to talk about, that we are interested in, that are, beacons of light for 2023. We always sit there, mainstream, blah, blah, blah. You could go to many other channels. There's a lot of people that do that. They have really silly faces. Some of them wear masks. Some of them wear intricate clothing. Hey, some of us are debonair with our designs, my co-hosts included. But they get a little crazy with their monikers and their names and hiding behind silly names. And they go into deep dives and talk to you about why you shouldn't watch it. But here, we are not going to wag the finger. We're going to give a little appreciation. We're going to give a little love when they get something right, or it's at least something that has caught our attention in that regard, Ruben. And I think the first one, and this week alone had a lot, but I think the one that I want to address right now is the Guardians, because we had the holiday special over Thanksgiving weekend, and so I enjoyed that. What was your take on the holiday special?
Oh, I loved it. Seeing Dave Bautista straight face as Drax kidnapping Kevin Bacon was everything that I thought it was going to be.
And the fact that Kevin Bacon, in the press circuit that they did for it, he didn't even know what the story was. He didn't know how he was playing into it. He didn't know whether he was going to be an alien or if he was going to be an obscure character. And then he read the script and went, oh shit, it's me. I'm going to be Kevin Bacon in this thing. I have no idea what the story is, but I have faith in James Gunn. I have faith in the cast that this is just going to be a fun time. And then I thought this was appropriate because this was the first principal photography, was the holiday special, before they even started Guardians 3. Obviously, they had the script. They knew what was going to go down, but they wanted to film this just to kind of get everybody back into the ebb and flow of being their characters and having a fun time. And he's like, screw it. We'll have Christmas in July. We're going to get the cast all jazzed up about this special. He resorted to a lot of the photoscope animation of the time of the 70s and 80s, which really hit home. It was cool to see Michael Rooker back as Yondu with that whole little kind of Grinchmas Ravager story that they had along with it. But then the bigger reveal, hey, spoilers are going to happen. It's been out for a week, kids. That Mantis and Quill are obviously brother and sister, which I wasn't really shocked about. She was one of Ego's kids. Quill's one of Ego's kids. It's not advanced calculus to understand that they're siblings in some way, shape, or form. And we also got introduced to Cosmo, which I thought is neat. That's a deep cut. He is a tertiary kind of Guardian character. The sweaties can get mad that they made Cosmo girl, but I think it's fine. Whatever. It's fun. It's lighthearted. It's the Guardians. It's going to be a little bit offset from the movie or the comic material. So just enjoy the ride. It's James Gunn. Enjoy the ride. Some of this stuff is going to be there, but he's going to put his little tweak on it. He's going to put his little spin on it. I thought that obviously Cosmo is rocking the suit. She has a vocalizer. The actress that they picked for Cosmo was great, with it being Bo Rat's daughter from the previous Bo Rat film that's on Amazon. She's phenomenal. She has good comedic timing, and I think the bickering between her and Rocket was on point.
Right.
So we got the trailer.
Good comedic timing.
Yeah, you're like yeah. Well, I mean, other than that, I enjoyed that they were on Earth too,
Right.
and they had some
I'll
deep
go watch it.
cuts. Yeah, like you can watch that they go to the star map, that they go to Schwarzenegger, which is in real life Chris Pratt's father-in-law. Obviously, a little nod to the Suicide Squad with them both going to Margot Robbie's house and John Cena's house when they did the tour for the stars.
Right.
But the trailer came out, and this is going to be a hard one because obviously you see a lot of dramatic scenes. James Gunn is not holding back his punches when it comes to this last film. He is leaving everything on the table. I think we're all in a common understanding that the High Evolutionary is the big bad of the movie, and kind of the tertiary bad is Adam Warlock, who will at some point join the Guardians as he does in the comics. But he's, I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, this is a rumor where a lot of people, there's Adam Warlock right there. Will it be the Soul Gem? What do you think, Ruben, about that? Because he's usually been synonymous with that Infinity Stone.
Well, I don't know, because they kind of killed off the Infinity Stone, so it'll be interesting if it is. I mean, it opens a whole new can of worms if that is an Infinity Stone.
Because, I mean, that's kind of what they did, Obviously, they had to pick and choose characters versus the original Infinity War and the Infinity Gauntlet, respectively. But Adam Warlock has always been the guardian of the Soul Stone. So, that's just some circulating rumors that are going around. But, I mean, we see stills of Mantis. We see stills of Quill. I mean, we even see this still right here of Batista taking a shot to the chest. But he's also Drax. So that might just be, just something that he's swaving off. But I understand that Dave Batista really kind of wants to put a bow on being Drax. It's not the easiest character because of the constant physical rigors of staying in shape and dieting and everything, especially when you get later in life, when you're pushing in your late kind of 40s. I think
he's almost 60.
Oh, okay. Well, then there you go. You know better than I do. So I think even with that, Father Time is not necessarily that gracious. And I think that he wants to transition from being the big kind of brute and show more of his acting chops. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last jaunt we have with Drax. I know that he's expressed interest to join the other side of the world in the distinguished competition of DC, with really hitting home that he wants to be Bane, so he can wear that vest and rock that. Obviously, I wouldn't even be surprised if Zoe Saldana, we see her last as Gamora. I think that this is going to be a tearjerker. I understand that Zoe has a commitment with doing Avatar, which we discussed on another film episode, and she's just been busy in life. She's been filming 4 movies, she's doing little bits and chunks here, there, and everywhere for her parts in Avatar. So they would move on. Honestly, I really only think that the surviving characters are probably going to be Groot, Mantis, and maybe Rocket. But with what's shown in the trailer, I don't even think Rocket's safe because it shows him as a baby. It shows that the High Evolutionary messed with him, that he found that love interest, which was the Otter character, and somehow they had a kind of a tragic romance, and that he has his own personal qualms against the High Evolutionary, and he wants to go against him. So I don't think anybody's safe. My recommendation would be, when this comes out May 5th, is if you have kids, that you go see it first. Don't you agree?
Yeah, you don't want to see grown men crying in the middle of the theater.
You don't want to explain why dad is sobbing and is just a snot mess, kind of looking like Kevin Smith after every trailer that he watches or anything that he loves. But this is just going to be the sad feels, because we've grown up with them as Guardians characters. We've had them for almost close to a decade and a half that we've experienced James Gunn. But I think that this is also an emotional send-off for James Gunn, so he can close this chapter with being with Marvel and open up the new book as being the head producer over at DC.
Should be good. He has not disappointed yet.
No, and I think that he'll put his own twist on it too. So that's at least Guardians. Now we go to the main event, if you will. There's no denying the fact that both Ruben and myself are big Transformer sweaties. Like that was when we started this whole outing, one of Ruben's things that he wanted to do, and we'll eventually do this episode, was that we were going to do a deep dive into the 1986 animated feature film of Transformers, the movie. Insert the movie for everything, because in the 80s, everything was the movie. The My Little Pony, the movie. Care Bears, the movie. Garbage Pail Kids, the movie.
And then if it was a sequel, it was part 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. So if it was an animated series and it had a toy line and you were demanding it for Christmas, I guarantee you somewhere, whether it was direct to VHS, it may not have gotten a theatrical run, there was the movie. If you, with our generation, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie, but that was live action. So we will save even Ninja Turtles for another time, my friend. But
That'll be a fun one.
the thing that I am most looking forward to, and I will probably get flack and static, but I don't care because, like I said, I'm a Transformers fan through and through. Even the worst Bay film, I was happy that it got made. Now, those things are a hard pill to swallow sometimes. You know, and you got to take a break. Maybe you got to go to the bathroom, whatever. You didn't miss too much in a Bay film. But I like the direction that they've gone with Bumblebee. You know, I like that it's been a soft reboot. I like the fact that it is the more fan service of the G1 versions of characters that are set in mind. So I'm all stoked for Rise of Beasts. I'll let you talk about what you're hyped about, man.
I can't wait because Bumblebee, you know, the way that they just kind of soft rebooted everything and made it it made me happy just because everything was closer to the G1 material than the first Michael Bay films were. And I think that with this one with the Maximals and Predacons being introduced, and you can't complain about Ron Perlman as Optimus Primal.
No, and that was one of the cool scenes of the trailer where it's Primal telling Prime, like right here, like chill, slow your roll, dude. We're both on the same side here. We're not, and I don't mind seeing a Primal Optimus fight. Like I loved that moment in TMNT where we finally got the answer between Leonardo and Raphael and who would win in a fight. So seeing these two generational leaders go at it was it'll probably be somewhere in the mid act. I would assume this is like a second act kind of thing. That they're going to be at odds or ends with each other, and they're not necessarily going to know which one is for who, and then they'll both get on the same page. But the big bad of the movie is going to be Scourge, that we found out, and that is going to be voiced by Peter Dinklage of Game of Thrones fame. So I think that's neat. And what's cool about Scourge is he was one of the lieutenants in the 1986 animated film. He was one of the Seekers who was like the right-hand guy to, you know, Galvatron. So we may not get the Predacons. They might just skip that entirely and just go with the Terracons, which is what they're alluding to. And the Terracons are kind of this undead army, or, you know, that has been subjugated to Unicron. Like he repurposes Decepticons and Autobots and makes his own army that does his own bidding. So if all signs are leading to a Galvatron Unicron kind of connection, I'm cool with that. It also makes the Maximals that much special. It gets that more centric attention to the Maximals. And what the other thing I like that they did is right here. You see in this photo, the scale of the Maximals. They're not making them like literally, you know, anthropomorphic animal size. They're trying to make them contemporaries with the Autobots. So obviously you see Cheetor's like, you know, larger than Bumblebee right there in that shot. So I kind of dug that. So we're not going to have tiny Maximals. We're going to have that ones that can compete. Like there's a Air Razor and is going to be voiced by Michelle Yeoh from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon fame. And so the designs look great. They have also abilities in their maximal mode. Like you can see Rhinox right here kind of heating up an internal cannon right in there. And I also like the fact that the weapons are transforming on the Autobots and the Maximals respectively. It's not like G1 style where Optimus just gets out the giant hand cannon. Like literally it is a hand cannon that comes out of his forearm. So I dug that. I even dug that speaking of abilities, I dug the Mirage right here. Like this is kind of a G1 trope where some of the guys had special abilities throughout the course of the show that kind of moved the plot, also kind of moved the toys. So kids would be convinced to buy it. So Mirage has the ability of that multiplication and cloaking. You know, you had Prowl, who was kind of more like I think he had like a sonic blaster, if I'm not mistaken. You had Hound, who had the radar, so he could track things and do that whole bit. You had like other characters that just had these Autobot centric abilities that they would bring them in that would purpose the narrative of the show. So it was cool to see that as well throughout the course of the trailer and them hitting it home. The only downside is that, you know, Mirage is voiced by Pete Davidson. So you get your good and your bad a little bit, but hey, to each their own. I mean, this is still going to be a movie that's set in the 90s, and he is a very smexy Porsche 911. So I think that's kind of cool. So and also RC's a Ducati. So I dug that. There's one scene in the trailer there where she's holding on to Wheeljack. I didn't like that Wheeljack was a Volkswagen Bug. I'll be honest.
Neither do I.
It's kind of the odd man out, but I get that, they didn't want to have, they wanted to make sure that Mirage was extra smexy. So they had to kind of tone it down a little bit and make him a Volkswagen Bug. Hopefully outside of his alt mode, his bot mode, he's a badass. So hopefully we get to see that. And I mean, and the narration of it is like, it's just not like the Maximals show up in the middle of New York. They actually go, the majority of the movie is set in Peru where they shot it. Mm. So maybe that's the justification for, look, there's Wheeljack right there in the far right. So hopefully we see more of this and less of the bug. But I like that it's set in the 90s. We're going to get a big crazy fight between the Terracons, the Maximals, and the Autobots. And just the tone that they're going with, I dig that it's still a discovery. There's still a sense of wonder with it being this G1. I think once the second Bay film happened, everybody's like, this is the universe, get with it or get lost. Like they didn't really set that sense of wonder with other Autobots. It's like, this is Nest, this is this, and we're fighting the Decepticons. And if you're not here for the ride, there's the door. At least with this, they're introducing other tropes. They're borrowing from G1, G2, obviously Beast Wars and Beast Machines, and even into the other series that address more of the Terracon Unicron connection and developing that. So I think they're borrowing bits and pieces throughout the entire Transformers universe and making a cohesive, fun ride that's going to be fun. I didn't watch Bumblebee in theaters, but I definitely will be watching Rise of Beasts just because I was a big Beast Wars fan as a kid. I'd come home, watch that. I even watched Beast Machines. So I know. Some people are like, Beast Machines, what's up with that? I'm like, hey, you know what? It just scratched an itch, and I'd already watched Beast Wars, so it's like, you know what? I'm here for I bought the ticket. I'm going to finish the ride.
We were invested, and we wanted to see what happened.
Yeah, and they went back to Cybertron, so I'm like, you son of a bitch, I'm in. You're telling me more about what I want to know. I want to know what happened. Yeah. So I'm going to be watching this. I was excited for this. I was excited for Guardians. I highly recommend checking out the Guardians Holiday Christmas Special on Disney Plus right now. It's one of the few nice gems that's out there. We still got some downtime before January till we get some more Filoni goodness in the form of Bad Batch and Mandalorian Season 3 in March. So check out some trailers. Check out, more importantly, our social media accounts. Ruben's been doing a rad job on the Instagram for West Coast Geeks, giving you those links that you want to watch and check out. Obviously, we have our Twitter handles respectively that are always down there in the link below. So if you have any thoughts, comments, what you want to see us do a geek sweaty deep dive into, we're game for it. You are a part of this conversation just as much as Ruben and myself. So hopefully throughout the week, we'll have some more stuff to look forward to coming into 2023. But that is the geek news for now. As always, like, share, subscribe, put some comments down so we know what we're doing. We know that there's some of you out there that are interested, and keep the conversation going. And as always, my friends, wherever you go, wherever you're at, keep it geeky. And we'll see you on the next episode. Laters.